This meeting is being recorded, by the way. This is the July meeting of the Central Beaverhood Neighborhood Association Committee. I'm Thom Drane. I'm the chair. And so what we usually do to start things off is go around and introduce ourselves. All the attendees who are not panelists will give you talking permission. And once you're permitted to talk, you may need to unmute yourself on whatever platform you are on. So if on the app, it's just unmuting, and if you're calling in via phone line, then I believe it's *6, I think. And tonight's question, if you can, was provided by Kevin Teater, and he said, "What is your best joke?" So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to go ahead and start with the board, and I'll just call people, and if you can introduce yourself, and if you're a board member, just tell us if you're an officer or you're. Tell us if you're an officer if you are. So, Amanda Clark.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Clark. I'm the recorder for the Central Beaverton NAC and the Community Engagement Manager for Beaverton Civic Theater. And I am racking my brain trying to think of a joke. I am terrible at being put on the spot with jokes. So come back to me.
Aren't you in theater?
I am, but I'm really bad at improv.
Guess you're not in. Yeah. Okay. No problem. Fantastic. Kevin Teater.
Hey, my name is Kevin. I'm the executive director of the Beaverton Downtown Association. I am a board member of the NAC here. And my best joke is, where does Napoleon keep his armies? In his sleeveys. Okay, that's my best.
All right.
Rachel, do you want to go next?
I believe it is. Yes, Rachel, please.
Hey everyone, I'm Rachel Phillip. I'm a board member on the NAC. I'm also a member of the Sustainability Subcommittee that's part of the NAC. I don't have any jokes. My kid has not gotten to jokes yet. Just making funny faces is like sufficient to make him laugh. So that's all we do right now.
Franziska Rose.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Franziska Rose. I'm the Public Involvement Coordinator with the City of Beaverton, and I am also the staff liaison to this super lovely NAC. And I am admittedly horribly unfunny, so I probably would have to sit here for the entire meeting to think of a joke, and probably still wouldn't have one by the end of it, but I will pass it off to somebody else.
Fantastic. All right, Officer Picard.
I am Officer Amanda Picard, and I've been with Beaverton Police for 26 years. I joke all day, every day, often inappropriately, but it's with coworkers, and we have a different, darker sense of humor. So if we're laughing, that means we're not crying, which is a good thing. It's one of our many coping skills. So I don't have any good jokes offhand. I have to be out on some kind of weird call for service and then make jokes about that, what's going on, or the dynamics or something. Just go, what? I would only believe this was happening if it was on TV, but here I am in the middle of this, feeling like this is some Jerry Springer show. So sometimes it goes like that. I love my job. I actually am training a new recruit who's in another office down the hall from me at the Family Justice Center this week. He is brand new to our agency by way of a couple other agencies, but started in Hawaii and then ended up in California, and found the light and came up to Beaverton to join us and bring his expertise and experience and breadth of knowledge from past agencies to work here at Beaverton. So I have Officer Lawrence Kubota here with me, and he's assigned to me all week. So he's doing some domestic violence follow-up along with me and helping out some district attorneys, sergeants, and other officers with some DD follow-up that takes a lot of time and energy and follow through, which makes it really hard for regular patrol officers to do that day in and day out. Also, I was asked to be here in replacing the Brad Sutton, who, of course, hopefully you'll know, has been assigned to the Mental Health Response Team, or MHRT. And so he's riding with those folks during his relief shift hours now, and asked me to be here to kind of hand the baton and show you the way to Officer Kavi Bowen, who's been with Beaverton 15 plus years, Kavi? Give me a nod. Yeah, more. 17, 19, 20, 20 years? Awesome. So lots and lots of experience. He's currently assigned to our bicycle team as well. So he's out and about in his bike shorts and his white Beaverton Police bicycle shirt. And so he always rides with a partner. He can tell you this as well, but they're really excellent working with our homeless folks, mentally challenged folks in and around Beaverton. And the bike team is invaluable with those kind of efforts in terms of making Beaverton safer for all, and then provide resources for those that have less options.
Fantastic.
Is that fair to say, Kavi?
Yeah, so my name's Kavi Bowen. I've been with the Beaverton Police Department going on 20 years. Had about a year of that as a reserve officer with Beaverton. Actually, you had my reserve time is more than 20 years. I was also CSO, supporting and prisoner transports and this kind of things. I've spent some time on TriMet down at Portland Transit. And then I was there for 5 years, Intel officer for them for about a year and a half. And then I've been teaching emergency vehicle operations since 2007. And I've been on the bike team for about a year now. So my partner, Mark, and I, we work early morning hours, 5 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Thursday. We spend our time, for the most part, focused on the transient, homeless, houseless individuals who are in Beaverton or have found ways to migrate to Beaverton, in our best efforts to get them help or assess what their needs are, or also kind of keep Beaverton from heading Portland's way. So we have to balance all of that on the same kind of plate, because everyone's got different issues and everyone's story is different. So I got my joke, and I'll need someone to play along with me. So here we go. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
There.
Atch.
Atch.
Who?
Who?
Gesundheit.
Oh,
Dun-dun-dun.
fantastic. All right. Thank you all for going. And once we're done with introductions, we'll get back to you both for the Beaverton Police Department update for this month. All right.
Awesome.
Moving on to our other panelists. Raziah.
Hi, I'm Raziah. I am the board president with 2D40. We're an arts organization here in Beaverton, and we produce La Strada de Pastelli, which I'll get to tell you about later. And Officer Bowen, you stole my joke. I was totally going to say that one. So, echoing the same joke.
All right. Noted. Classics never die. Bridget Calfee.
Hi everyone, I'm Bridget Calfee. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the executive director at HomePlate Youth Services, and you'll hear a little bit more about our work in the neighborhood. I love jokes, but I don't always remember them, so I just looked this one up. So I'm going to do my best to real quick. So a duck walks into a bar and says to the bartender, "You got any grapes?" And the bartender says, "No, I don't have any grapes." And the duck walks out disappointed. And the next day, he walks back into the bar and asks the same question, "You got any grapes?" And he gets the same answer. The next day, he walks in, asks the same question. The bartender is very frustrated and says, "No, and if you come back here tomorrow and ask me if I have any grapes, I will nail your bill to the bar." So the duck walks out, and then the next day, the duck comes back and says, "Do you have any nails?" And the bartender says, "No." And then he says, do you have any grapes?" The end.
Nice. Very good. All right, those are our panelists. So we'll go down through the attendees list. We've got 5 of you tonight, and I think there's 2 more we'll allow to talk. And again, if you're an attendee and we've allowed you talk, you will still need to unmute yourself. So Frances Miller, welcome back.
Thank you. Am I being heard?
Yes, you are.
Oh, good. I can't find my unmute button. This is a joke that someone sent me. It says, "What do Winnie the Pooh and John the Baptist have in common?"
Do tell. I don't know.
They both have the same middle name. The.
Very good. Very good. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I think we just lost Steve Van Beek. Maybe he will return to us. In the meantime, Brian Negley.
I just unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, you have. Loud and clear.
Yes, I'm muted. I've got a a big cacophony of sound. We've got 5 dogs and we've got somebody over, so you'll hear a lot of yelping in the background. So I apologize for that. So, so this is my first meeting. My wife and I have just arrived in Beaverton, so I'm just looking for ways to get involved in the community. We left for overseas in February of 1988. We went to Japan. We were going to go there for 6 months, teach a little English, travel the country, and come back. Well, we've just come back. So we are off by about 33 years in our planning. So yeah, Japan, Indonesia, Japan twice actually, Japan, Indonesia, back to Japan, Taiwan, and then last mainland China. Mainland China was the longest, 17 years in Shanghai. So yeah, I talked to Franziska earlier, or a few days ago, and she was very gracious in explaining a lot of what goes on in the committees, and invited me to this meeting. So thank you very much. A joke, the one is, I don't know if it's my best joke, but the one that pops into my head, it's not a duck, but it's a horse that walks into a bar. Horse walks into the bar, bartender looks at the horse and says, "Why the long face?"
Oh.
And that's it. So anyway,
Very
thank you for the invitation. I will go
Absolutely.
I will go back on mute to save you from the sound.
Welcome, Brian, and
thank you. Thank
nice
you very
to
much.
have you here. Mr. Dick Nichols.
Good evening. I'll start with a confession. I don't even live within the city limits, but I kind of hang out where Kevin and Raziah do. So, just a little short joke about a man walking down the street when all of a sudden his doctor comes running up to him all out of breath. "Boy, am I glad I saw you. I've got good news and I've got bad news." You know, the man looks at him and says, "Oh, what's the good news?" "Good news is you've got 24 hours to live." "Well, if that's the good news, what's the bad news?" "I forgot to call you yesterday."
Oh, all right. Okay, and then finally, I'm seeing Pooh or Foof as an attendee as well. You are, if you want to introduce yourself, you'll need to unmute. And if you would like to remain anonymous or quiet, you can either type something in chat, or you can just observe. So I never told a joke. What did the farmer say when he was looking for his tractor? "Where's my tractor?" It kills with the under 5 set. That's all I'm saying. Exactly. We have a late arrival. Robert, he, him. Allowed. If we're just wrapping up our introductions, if you would like to introduce yourself, you may need to unmute. Yeah, there you go.
Hi, my name is Robert. How's it going?
Well, do you have a good joke?
Not that I can think of right now.
Well, that's okay. We'll provide plenty of humorous anecdotes in the meantime. So we'll welcome everyone. And again, hopefully we'll get another board member here. I realized that I started the meeting without giving our little preamble. And if I can get that on screen, then I will read it very quickly. And here we go. Okay, the purpose of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee is to act in an advisory role to the council and administration of the city of Beaverton on matters of importance to the CBNAC or the city, and to provide a forum for the involvement and participation for the greatest number of citizens. There are no dues or fees for NAC membership, and anyone who lives, works, owns property, or represents a nonprofit within the NAC border is a member already. The CBNAC's activities are civic and educational. Some of its goals are to bring about the maximum exposure of ideas and plans that are formulated for Central Beaverton, such as development proposals or other land use issues, and to provide opportunities for input to the city through such avenues as the mayor, city council, city commissions, and the staff of the city of Beaverton. For your information, the city of Beaverton has a matching grant program that we utilize to fund some of our community activities. You'll hear an applicant for one of those a little later tonight. If you have any agenda item that you would like to have added to our next meeting, or if you have any questions about the NAC, or you have an idea for a community event or a project idea, please see me after the adjournment of the meeting. I will go ahead and add my email to the chat. And I encourage you to send me a quick email during the meeting with your name and contact information so that I can follow up with you afterwards. And additionally, if you'd like, we can add your email to be used to send periodic updates on the NAC and upcoming events in the neighborhood. So thank you for putting up with that. And without further ado, I will turn it over to our BPD representatives for this month's update.
I'm assuming that's for me.
I'm not. Wasn't sure. Officer Sutton informed me that Officer Picard would be joining us, and wasn't sure if you, Officer Bowen, would be liaising with us beginning this month or not. So, between the two of you, whomever would like.
Does anybody have any questions about anything that's gone on or that they're aware of within the city of Beaverton regarding police activities that we might be able to shed some light on? Or tell you, honestly, we don't know, but I don't mind fielding questions.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
So there's a lot of talk over the past week, given the holiday, given the 4th of July, and a lot of fear of fires and emergencies. And I'm curious to know if you know any of the emergency response statistics over the 4th of July weekend, and if there was any change from what's normal.
I know of at least one person that died over the weekend from the heat, as in previous weekend when it was super duper hot, not 4th of July weekend. I'm not aware of serious fires or other structures burning down. There was a firework related incident between family members type thing where somebody got injured because we had a firework response team of some overtime officers responding to all fireworks complaints. And that's normal for us to have. I think there was less activity in Beaverton and things had shut down from what I heard a briefing on Monday, because I came into work on Monday, our national holiday. Things had shut down by midnight, 1 o'clock. So things are pretty quiet with no drama after that I'm aware of in terms of fireworks stuff. The crime still continues, but fireworks stuff is a minor entity, probably because of the hot weather and the warnings to lay low. Anything that you had that you were aware of, Kavi? Kavi?
I think he might be frozen.
Anything that you have to add about any response about fireworks this last weekend? Kavi? Were there any other questions by chance?
Thank you.
If you're unfrozen, did you have anything to add about fireworks over the holiday weekend and any calls for service that you're aware of related to that?
Yeah, I heard anything for any spill that was big enough that popped up on briefing this morning when we came in. So it was a relatively giving the 4th village.
Francis, did you have a question, ma'am?
I just wanted to thank you for getting in the Thursday Pamplin newspapers, the police report of the Beaverton police activities during the previous weeks. Each week you've done that since our last meeting.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that because I don't get to read that so much, but I'm glad that you folks are seeing it and appreciating it.
Yes.
We have a question in chat from P. Hoof or Fufa.
Yeah, who is that? Are you able to identify yourself?
I believe.
I can't answer that question. It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah,
it's anonymous complaint type thing. No, thank you.
Yeah, all I can ask is I can ask them to unmute themselves and introduce themselves, but but apparently they are. We would love to have you participate directly, but well, there we go. I guess that answers your question, at least, as to who they are. They are gone. So, does anyone else have questions or anything, requests for BPD this month? All right. Well, thank you both for joining us. Officer Picard, thank you for taking your time out. Officer Bowen, we look forward to seeing you in the coming months. And it'll be nice to get back to in-person meetings because the connection issues are a little easier to deal with then.
You're gonna love them even more in person. Look at that sweet face. You guys have a great night.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Officer.
They are.
All right.
Yeah, and I guess bear with me. I've never been part of anything, so
no problem.
Curve from my end, but
no problem.
We'll make it work.
No problem at all. I mean, if you get the chance to ask Officer Sutton, I'm sure he will tell you all of the horror stories about how unruly we are and the unreasonable requests that we bring to BPD. So, but thanks for joining us, and we'll see you out on the streets. Fantastic. So, typically this is where THPRD would give their report, and I do not see a THPRD rep this month, so we will move on to BCCI, and I do not see our BCCI representative either, so we will keep moving on to Franziska. And look, all of a sudden we're on schedule.
Look at that.
That works.
I had a feeling that was going to happen. So.
How about that? All right, there you go.
Anywho, my name is Franziska Rose. I am the Public Involvement Coordinator with the City of Beaverton, and I give the city update every month, the highlights for what's happening at the city for those who are here for their first time. So July news, the 2021-2022 fiscal year budget is approved. And if John Duggar was here, he's on the budget committee, he could talk way more about this. The budget was adopted at the June 15th City Council meeting and begins July 1st. The budget is approximately $441 million, 10 million less than last year's. The city's overall tax levy rate for operating purposes remains the same as the prior year at $4.23 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. The budget reflects completion of several capital projects and anticipates revenue from stimulus and other programs such as CARES funding, the American Rescue Plan Act, and the Water Infrastructure, Finance, and Innovation Act. Notable expenses include construction of the Patricia Reeser Center for the Arts and district-serving public parking garage, which is well on its way to getting completed if you haven't been by there. It's pretty amazing. Housing affordability programs, sustainability efforts, and water and street improvements. And you can learn more at beavertonoregon.gov/budget, and I'll put all the links in the chat here in just a moment. So next is Save Water. This summer in Beaverton, water consumption is its highest in summer, often doubling or even tripling. Reducing outdoor water use has the biggest impact. Water smart by adjusting sprinkler heads, watering in the early morning or late evening, and watering less often or for shorter cycles. And you can visit beavertonoregon.gov/water for a full listing of water saving tips, including indoor conservation and how to stop leaks around your home. A national chlorine shortage is heightening conservation attention. Beaverton receives most of its water from the Joint Water Commission water treatment plant, which relies on chlorine in the treatment process. And you can learn more about that at www.jwcwater.org. And last but not least, and I see Raziah already alluded to it in the chat here, the Beaverton Night Market is back and in a new location, super exciting. The market will take shape on the streets of downtown at Southwest 1st Street and Southwest Tucker Avenue on Friday, August 13th and Saturday, August 14th. In addition to vendors, performers, and designated food courts, this year's Beaverton Night Market features an exciting collaboration with the Strada de Pastelli Chalk Art Festival, which, like I said, Raziah will talk all about that. The event is free, and you can learn more at beavertonoregon.gov/night market. And just a personal plug, it's one of my favorite things that the city of Beaverton does all year. So if you haven't been, check it out. It's amazing. So put all the links to the chat in the chat here. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've talked about or anything else city related? Too easy.
It's got to be easy sometimes.
And I just wanted to mention really quick that I know Erin Lee and Stacy Rivet are giving an update on the fountain updates. They should be here around 8. So
Are they doing
let you
your bureau right now?
Hmm?
So are they in?
No, there was a child care emergency, and they're trying to rejig some stuff.
Yep.
But either I'll either get bullets on what they were going to present, or somebody will be here around 8.
Okay.
So either way, but exciting stuff also happening with the fountain.
Okay. So fantastic. Moving on then to officers' reports. Amanda sent out the minutes last month. And of those in attendance, do anyone have edits or anything or corrections? Nope. I know we also have May minutes to approve. We can't do either of those because we have no quorum. So let's table minutes for May and June until next month. And we do not have a treasurer here, but I do have the Treasury Report. As soon as I bring it up, there we go. It is starting balance of $3,310.21. An ending balance of $3,310.25. And Quinn said that he had just submitted the matching grant application for Pride for reimbursement. So we should be back to our full $6,000 whenever that goes through, which should be soon. So, but
And Tom,
yes,
the BDA also has a matching grant reimbursement request that will be coming, and I expect it to be coming over the next couple of weeks. The bike rack or bike repair stations are being delivered, hopefully very soon. It's just kind of one of those things you just kind of wait for now.
Sure, cool. Do you know how quick your installation turnaround is going to be on those?
No, not yet, because we don't have the delivery date yet.
Okay, I just didn't know if you were
if
you needed to like wait for approval from, I don't know, who's the owner of the path? Is that THPRD or Beaverton?
Yeah, THPRD, and then the La Scala one is Central Bethany.
Right,
and
okay.
So both of them should be able to move pretty quick after we actually know when they're getting here.
Well, that's good.
But I expect it to be this month.
Seeing them out there, and yeah, just let us know when you're ready for that. Excellent. So that is officers' report for the month, and that then brings us to our panelists for this evening, starting with Bridget Calfee of HomePlate Youth Services. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks. It's so nice to be here with and among neighbors. I have a short presentation that I can share with my screen share. So I will do that now. For those of you who know us, HomePlate Youth Services, we serve young people ages 12 to 24, just on the street at 3rd in Washington. We rent from the church there, Beaverton First United Methodist. Let me advance my screen so you can see our mission. We serve youth ages 12 to 24. We're throughout Washington County, and our headquarters is there in Beaverton, and we have since bought a building on 4th and Angel, so just a block away. And we're going to begin some renovations. But you can see here our mission is just really to connect young people who are experiencing houselessness or housing instability to stability. And that looks different for a lot of youth, employment, parenting support, education. We do it in a lot of different ways. So that is, I want to show you this link. Will someone chat me if like the sound doesn't work very well? I have another way to do it.
For the 6th year in a row, Beaverton has had the highest number of students experiencing homelessness since the
think we might have to go direct YouTube link.
Okay, thank you. I
Yes.
have another. Great. I will share it one other way.
Perfect.
Thank you. I'm just like, I know this technology is not, it's still after a year.
Bridget, there's also a little setting when you pull up the share screen that has like optimized for video or share sound, and you want to make sure both of those are checked for the best viewing.
See that. Let me now get the, here, I'll get it right from the, okay, let's try this.
For the 6th year in a row, Beaverton has had the highest number of students experiencing homelessness in the state of Oregon. HomePlate supports the positive development of young people ages 12 to 24 experiencing homelessness or housing instability. We are committed to meeting youth where they are and helping them access the resources and services they need to gain stability. From 2005 to 2016, HomePlate relied on donated spaces to provide hot meals, showers, laundry facilities, and a safer place for youth to find support. Since 2016, we rented our own space in downtown Beaverton. This was a huge step forward, but the youth need us to grow. The time has come for us to create our own permanent space. HomePlate's brand new 6,000 square foot campus will triple our current capacity and allow us to provide even more vital support for youth in need. HomePlate provides the first step towards stability by disrupting the cycles of instability through outreach and genuine connection. More than 2,500 youth in Washington County need support. Our services are needed now more than ever. We invite you to invest in Washington County's youth by supporting HomePlate. We're not just building a place, we're building the future.
Okay, was that better? Could you hear sound? Great. Oh, I'm so happy that worked. Great, so that was kind of a little background on the building. You've probably walked by it. I walked by it. It's like on 4th and Angel, and it was the Ananda Living Wisdom School. And they stopped halfway through building it, and it has been vacant for a number of years. And so we purchased it, and we're fundraising now to build the renovations inside. It's just a shell of a building. So we'll do all this, all the street improvements. Let me go back to my presentation and I can share the kind of renderings of what we hope it will look like. Next slide. There we go. So we'll do the street trees, we'll improve all of that. And this will be kind of the main center. It's actually 2 buildings. So one of them will have a campus for the services that we provide. And the main floor will be drop-in centers. So youth can access showers and laundry, and we'll have a commercial kitchen so youth can take cooking classes. And, our main goal is really just helping youth find stability and getting those skills that are naturally maybe taught by a family or a school system. So we come in for that. So this is the address, and the renovations we're working with Walsh Construction will start in October. And then we have been given about a 6-month time frame. So spring is kind of when we will plan to move in. But we're excited to have kind of garden beds there. Our youth employment, youth are going to be helping painting, as well as other kind of odd jobs that we can pay them to do. And here's some more about how to get involved, or if you have questions. These are the kind of ways to reach out to our any of our staff, or our program director Anthony can answer any of that. But yeah, I'm happy to answer questions too, or speak to any of our services. Kevin can talk about our help in the downtown. The youth were able to build some of those garden beds downtown. So we're just really happy to be integrated, and we've been looking for a location for a while, and this came up, in the middle of the pandemic, and we were ready, and we're excited to kind of sink our roots down deeper and be able to serve youth throughout Washington County, but mainly in this neighborhood where youth already are. What questions do you have, Kevin?
Bridget, will the main entrance with that patio space, will that be on 4th Street?
Yeah, so it's the parking lot, the Nanda Church is on 4th. So yeah, the way they built it for the main entrance and what was permitted by the city was to kind of have that entrance kind of face their whole property. So yeah, it will face 4th.
Cool. And it looks like there'll be a nice little patio there.
Yeah, there's a patio, there's be garden beds. We'll have some connection to the other building, but it will be fenced. It will kind of be enclosed.
Yeah, well, I am super excited for you all. I think this is going to be really special, and I'm glad that you're still in downtown.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
So real quick question. So were you able to actually purchase the facilities there, or is this a long-term lease, or?
We purchased it, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we purchased it. Now we took a loan out to purchase it.
Sure,
and fundraising to move in, debt free is kind of our goal through our capital campaign. So yeah, so far it's going pretty well. People have been generous. Yeah.
Are you going to make that your sole facility for the time being, or are you going to still maintain facilities at the rented from the church?
Yeah,
I don't know which they offer, which each one is capable of offering.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're kind of dreaming now. So with the supportive housing services measure, we're going to be adding more staff to do housing, and with rent assistance. And so there's just so many more resources coming to Washington County for housing. So we will be adding a housing team as soon as we can hire them. And so we're going to keep the rental property because it'll kind of have that campus feel in a way of having, a place this is where you get your basic needs met. And then this is where you, sit down and do a resume or sit down and kind of work on those future goals after you kind of have your crisis mode basic needs met. So yeah, we'll be keeping it.
Is there any, I maybe unclear about what you currently offer. Do you have any short-term shelter capabilities, or you just drop in?
We're just drop-in. Yeah, we don't overnight shelter any youth. Yeah, or we connect them to the resources that exist, which are few and far between. There's a shelter in Hillsborough and a couple other housing, small transitional programs. But yeah, mainly we just try to connect them to permanent housing is our main goal. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I was surprised to hear that Washington County has a pretty large houseless youth population. Do you know what are some of the drivers and why this area does have such a high rate?
Yeah, I think it's a few factors. So the stat it's a hard population to count, and I think the measures that are in place to count are the school districts. And so that's actually the highest number of homeless students in the state in Beaverton. So I think there's a distinction there. I imagine that Portland would have a higher number of homeless youth. But so I think in some ways Beaverton is doing a good job of keeping youth in school when they're in this really transitory situation. But I also think, in Beaverton and Washington County around, it can be really invisible. It's not as kind of street acculturated as an urban setting. So it's easy to miss and then not realize to what degree the problem is actually happening. So yeah, I think youth are in across the spectrum of these situations of the youth we serve. Sometimes they're with their families and they're homeless with their families. And then the other end of the spectrum, they are sleeping outside and camping, but just not as visible. They're not in doorways. They're out in the woods. But the majority of folks we serve, we call it couch surfing. So they can stay with an aunt for a week and then they outstay their welcome and maybe they can go back home, but it's just in this way that's really bouncing around and hard to maintain kind of school and job stability.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question.
There we go. If any of our attendees also have questions, you can use the raise your hand function, or type in chat, and we'll be sure to ask those. So in the meantime, are there other questions for Bridget so far? So I have not taken the time to look at what your public facing calls for volunteer and assistance are, but this is the first time since I've been coming to the NAC where I know that you've come to us. Would you be willing to come to us more often if there's ways that we as neighbors can continue to help your mission?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to figure, I think like the pandemic, challenging for lots of people, right? And my staff is just like trying to keep youth kind of alive, right? So we're kind of at capacity in lots of ways, but I would love to like brainstorm how we can make this possible. It's been on our radar to connect with you all more often. So I will bring it back to our team and kind of see who makes the most sense to kind of attend more regularly. Thanks.
And then counterpoint to that, we are trying to, again, post-pandemic, provide more events for the community. I don't know how this fits into your services, but would any of your clients be willing to volunteer or would benefit from volunteer opportunities if some come up that we can connect you with?
Yeah, possibly. I think, some part of a young person in crisis mode that doesn't have a safe place to be is that they need money, right? So we often create opportunities, but pay them minimum wage to do them. So it can create kind of an equity barrier for a young person to that doesn't have resources to be able to volunteer their time. So yes, and we certainly could partner with you through our youth employment program potentially to support that or offer a stipend for that kind of lived kind of volunteering. But yeah, thank you for thinking of that. We definitely are looking for more. Part of what we do is just connect youth to community and how people get out of this rough state. So we welcome more adults to care about these young people. So thanks.
Are you still providing dog sitting at the farmers market and coffee making for some of the churches on Sunday morning?
Yeah, thank you. That was all paused because of the pandemic. So yeah, the farmers market, we have our sit and stay program, which is a dog sitting program, and our youth are employed throughout the summer to watch people's dogs, and we're ready and set to go for 2022. So look for that. We're actually expanding to Hillsborough with our sit and stay program next year as well. And then the coffee program you're mentioning is called Home Perk, and it's with the Bethel United Church of Christ, and that it was paused because church was paused as well. But we are ready and excited to offer that as well when church is back. And I know conversations have been happening. And again, that program we're looking to expand as well and have some connection in Hillsborough as well. So expanded our coffee service to churches. So yes, we are always looking for ways to employ youth and get creative. We also have a program called It Takes a Village, which is like an art therapy program where youth are painting little houses, and we were able to sell a number of those. So that has worked well. But yeah, the pandemic, yeah, as our location now on 3rd and Washington is a very small house. It's the parsonage of the church there. And so if you can see the backyard, we set up a big tent because we've been just able to serve youth kind of out the back door, which has really impacted our relational model, that it is this more transactional one. So we're eager to get into this building because it will be more space that we can socially distance for the next pandemic. So we're excited to get back to the kind of intention of our model.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
All right. And last call for questions or comments for Bridget. Thank you very much for coming to us.
Hey, Thom.
Yes.
One more. Raziah put in the chat. Bridget, I just want to make sure you see it. Tualatin Valley Creates, which is Raziah's organization. One of her organizations. Yeah. Has some employment opportunities.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Raziah.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. All right. So is this Stacy Reve that I see in
Hi.
hello. Loud and clear, yes.
Okay, good. Hopefully it's not too loud. Is it echoing or anything?
You're 5 by 5 here, so you're
Great.
loud and clear. I believe that actually brings us then to you, if you would like to give us a library fountain improvement project update.
Oh, great. Okay, so I'm right on time.
You're right on time.
Okay, great. So hi everybody and good evening. My name is Stacey Rivet. I work for the city of Beaverton in Public Works Engineering as the Capital Improvement Plan Public Outreach Coordinator. So Aaron Lee is actually the project manager for the library fountain. And unfortunately, he's unable to be here this evening. So you get me and I will just give you a few tidbits of information here. So everything's going really well at the fountain. You may have noticed the fencing was moved back to provide a larger community space for the farmers market patrons and for people who also are, frequenting the area or live nearby. Also, the construction for the project is on track to be completed at the end of August, so that's great news. The opening date and ribbon cutting ceremony is soon after, but the exact date is to be determined. So we don't have an exact date for you quite yet. We're still working on quite a few things construction-wise for the fountain, but it will be exciting once it's open. I know people are really looking forward to the fountain opening. We do get quite a few emails. And one thing that I want to mention too is that if anybody wants to be added to the Notify Me list, we are going to be sending out an update this week. So you can go to www.beavertonoregon.gov/fountain updates. And that will take you right to the fountain page. And then on there is a Notify Me button. So basically that's a list that you subscribe to, and then when we have project updates, you'll receive those emails. Oh, thank you, Franziska. I see that you put that in chat. You're so great. Okay, another fun and exciting thing that will be happening, the city councilors will be doing a construction site tour with the city engineer, myself, the consultants, the construction team, project management team, this week. And then also the mayor will do a construction site tour in a couple of weeks here. So we're excited for that. The swing set is almost complete, the one that's near the play structure. So that's been going up over the past week. Relocation of one tree has been completed by the city arborist and team. There was a tree that was very healthy and we wanted to make sure that it stayed in the park. So we had it relocated to a more appropriate spot so that it wasn't in the way of any of the pipes, and it's doing very well. The new pump house is being constructed and will be completed in the next few weeks. Also, construction on the new fountain splash pad continues and will be completed probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. That's what we're kind of looking at. And site landscaping is, we're starting that irrigation repair and flat work. And then if anyone remembers, there were lots of kind of like brickwork that was around the splash pad of the fountain, and there were some benches and those sort of things. So that brickwork also will start taking place. So basically all the piping and the utilities and the undergrounding and all that kind of stuff that's under the ground, all that stuff is being worked on as we speak, but now it's sort of like putting all that, putting all of the other infrastructure back in place so that the fountain is workable. So yeah, so we're really excited about that. And now I will take any questions that you have. I will do my best to answer them. And if I don't know, I will find the answer and email you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stacy. So the floor is open for questions. So real quick, I know part of the impetus for this project was to get rid of the pumps and everything in that confined space vault that was underneath. Is that vault just being backfilled and sealed off, or is it being repurposed for anything, or is that just, is the infrastructure just so new that that doesn't even exist anymore?
I believe that there is nothing happening in that vault area. That's something I would have to check on. But yes, the pump house is basically the new above ground vault. And so this actually helps with maintenance and access. So that was the reason for building the pump house.
Right.
So to provide better access.
Is there just going to be a big empty vault down there then? Or do you know if it's going to be like filled with concrete or, yeah.
They definitely will close it. I don't think that there's going to be like an access to that vault, but whether or not they're going to fill it, that's a really good question actually. So I can write that down and ask the team and get back to you.
Or is it just going to fill with groundwater?
Right.
Like it
Probably not.
apparently does right now.
Yeah. Good question though. I will definitely writing that down right now. So I can get back to you on that.
Cool. So, are there any other questions about the fountain project from our guests, panelists, attendees?
Nope.
No? All right. Stacy, if you don't mind, can I ask you a question about another CIP?
Sure.
So Erickson Sewer Project had a very nice public meeting back in October at about the 60% design. There was mention of having an additional public meeting later in the design. I know that the contract has been awarded back in the beginning of June and they were supposed to start work. And I've seen, site workers. Is there going to be any more community outreach other than the mailing?
Yeah, I think that phase 2 is going to be starting here pretty soon. And in fact, you are just right on time because we have a meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. So we will be discussing that and hopefully that will be coming to you soon.
Okay. Just curious to know which end they're starting at, whether they're doing sewer or water first or concurrent. Stuff like that. Well, I will look forward to hearing more about it.
Okay. Yes, and I will get these answers to you. I don't know if they were your questions, Tom, or if they were someone else's, but I will.
They're always my questions.
Oh, hey.
They're always
That's good though. They're good questions.
I'm glad you think so. Well, thank you for joining us, despite the hurdles that you had to hop through.
Oh, no problem.
Excellent. And yeah, we'll hear from you again about another CIP in the near future.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And you'll be hearing more from us on the Erickson phase 2, I'm sure.
Awesome.
So yeah, thanks again, guys. Have a nice evening.
Take care.
Bye.
Excellent. Welcome, Kinsey. It's so good to see you. Now we have a quorum.
Sorry.
That's okay. We can take care of some business. Most importantly, for our next agenda item, who I will turn the floor over to Raziah for this matching grant, we will be able to vote on whether or not that can go through. So that's clutch.
Perfect timing.
Exactly. So without further ado, Raziah, and now that I pronounce your name correctly for change, tell us what you got this year.
Well, first I want to thank the Beaverton Central NAC for supporting Strada de Pastelli, this chalk art festival, for 2 years in a row so far. It's with your support in 2019 and 2020 that we really have rooted this very meaningful event for our Beaverton community. And because this event is such high caliber for the chalk artists that we bring in, we are now, I am very happy to say that Beaverton is on the chalk pastel map. Artists in Georgia, they're clamoring from artists and event coordinators in Georgia. Southern California, people are talking about our event, and then correspondence with artists and event coordinators in Seattle. So the more we have this event, the more we're going to end up on, New York Times and Washington Post and all these other big papers someday. But it really is with the support of the NACs, the city, and business sponsors and individual contributors. And so today I'm here to ask for your support for this coming event, coming very quickly. This year, Strada de Pastelli is happening August 13th and 14th in collaboration with the Beaverton Night Market. So we are coordinating the chalk artists, fundraising to bring the chalk artists in. And part of our collaboration is that we are also covering the expenses of the videography and documentation, and then security and some of the other non-glamorous things. And the Beaverton Night Market is coordinating the things that make the night market so special, which is all of their vendors and artisans and the food, and they're also coordinating the stage. And then we're sharing performers costs. So there's performers that will be within the Beaverton night market layout and performers that will be technically outside of the barricades of the night market layout, because La Strada extends along all of Southwest First Street. So the way that we've designed it this year is that we will have chalk art clusters. We're kind of calling it a satellite. So imagine this: a chalk artist and a spoken word artist in front of Jan's books, 3 chalk artists and performance artists in front of Covenant Clocks. Both of those properties are on the corner of First and Tucker. Then having 3 chalk artists in front of Ichabod, and they've been our host for chalk art the last couple of years. They've been a sponsor as well. And so 3 artists there, and then imagine youth performers in front of Ichabod as well. And then thank you to Kevin and city staffers for letting me be annoying. We will have a 3D chalk art team doing a 20-foot by 25-foot 3-dimensional design in the Beaverton Dining Commons right in front of Lionheart Coffee. So yes, it's been amazing. And coordination and planning for this event started in the thick of COVID, and we're so happy that restrictions are lifting and people are coming out and feeling safe. And so part of our planning is also to maintain safety for our artists and our volunteers as well. What I'm here to ask for help with is specifically the videography cost. So Thom and Kevin, I think I sent you guys the proposal, and I'm happy to do a screen share if any of the fellow NAC committee members need to see it. And I would love to share a video. I don't know how much time we have, so that anybody who hasn't been to La Strada can see what it really is all about. But my request tonight is for $3,000 matching grant towards our videography expenses. We're working this year with Portland Event Film. It's a $4,400 contract for videography, and then they are giving us a $900 in-kind support, so that brings the cash cost down to $3,500. And the importance of this videography work, obviously, one, is that it documents the festival and how rich these events are for our community, and especially because the chalk art is an ephemeral experience. It's not a mural; it won't be here next year. And so the videography is really key to have a very high caliber videography. The other thing that's really exciting is that this is happening in your district. Like this year, it's really happening in your district. And so the videography capturing not only the chalk artists, but also the night market aligns with the things that you guys are doing, and looking forward to more events as the state starts to open up, and more events in downtown as your businesses start to evolve and the properties start to evolve. And so we are, as always, very happy to share the videography with you and the city and the NAC members, and you are totally welcome to use it as well. So I know we're a little bit ahead of schedule, and I have a 3-minute video from. Yeah.
So 2 things. 1, the bowling alley parking garage is still totally in our district.
Yeah?
And yes. And 2, yeah, go ahead and share that video.
Yeah. So I want to share the video from 2019 because it gives you guys all the massive sense of scale when it's a full event. We did do the video in 2020, and we commissioned chalk artists to do 8-foot by 8-foot images, and then we captured the whole thing on time lapse over the course of one day. So I might need a little, I might have some technical back and forth, but I think we can figure it out. So this videography, let's see. Let me know, just shout out or chat or anything if it gets funky. So hopefully what you guys can see is in front of the icy truck on your screen. Okay.
I see an icy truck.
Excellent. So here we go. Let's see if it works. Okay.
around people from all over the world. We're welcoming, we love diversity, and we actually walk that talk.
I will present the People's Award goes to Brad Lavin.
It's all inspired by fishing on the rivers here locally and getting to know the subject matter in the painting over there.
And then the judge's choice goes to Susan Charncliffe.
What I thought would be a hot August day is what it would feel like to stand there and look down and look up at the tree and feel like you were in the shade of the old growth, and that was and hopefully introductory.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, as you can see, I mean, this event chalk art is a 500-year-old tradition, and bringing a chalk art festival to Beaverton is very much about the creative process and being able to, as a family, experience visual art and performing arts in a way that you might not otherwise go to a gallery, or you might not have the funds to go to a big concert. So festivals like this are really, right, like they're very, very vital to our communities and our residents. And we're really excited as a pretty healthy volunteer team to continue to bring this to our residents here each year, year after year. And I have to tell you that everybody keeps saying, you know, summer 2022 and summer 2025, and, you know, 40 years from now, this will continue to be our event. So I would love to answer any questions about the festival, any questions about our hope for support again, and whatever I can share about what La Strada de Pastelli is.
All right, floor is open.
I don't have a question. I just want to say it's phenomenal. The artwork just blows my mind every time. So thanks for all you're doing to bring it to Beaverton.
I will do my obligatory. First of all, Raziah, I really like getting grant applications from you because everything is filled out with numbers. For example, I don't have to ask you whether or not you've got enough in-kind donations and volunteer hours to cover the grant amount because it's there. And then the only other like housekeeping due diligence question is, I think we had a little, the Central Beaverton, like something in your like donors or sponsorships packet previously. Will we be able to have that? Okay.
Yes. So what we do to recognize our donors and grants and foundations and everybody we're getting funding from is we put logos on the event materials on the website with hyperlinks. do shout outs on social media. We, if you guys approve sponsorship tonight, I can get it on the t-shirt because I'm submitting the t-shirt order. So then we'll make sure it's on the back of all the artists and volunteer shirts. And then otherwise we have, our poster has already been printed, but the city of Beaverton is on the poster. So at least we have that. And then, but we have like all the interior event signage as well. And so we'll make sure that we recognize the Beaverton Central NAC too. And we're officially a nonprofit this year too. So the letter will come from us and not from our fiscal sponsor as in years past.
Very cool. Other questions from board members or any input from our attendees or other panelists? Yes, Kevin.
This is just more information for the rest of the panelists. Just that this event is really awesome. And I think people's initial reaction to hearing, oh, it's chalk art is often like, oh, it's sidewalk chalk. Sidewalk chalk is cool, but also this is far beyond what should be possible with sidewalk chalk. Like it's like 3D murals and super realistic stuff. It's awesome. And anybody who's here tonight or who's watching later or reading the minutes should go check it out in August because it's going to be really fun.
Okay. Well, if there's no further input or discussion, we have an applicant for a neighborhood matching grant in the amount of $3,000 for 2D40 for La Pastelli, La Strada de Pastelli, 2021. That is the right year, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anybody want to put forth a motion that we can vote on?
I move to approve the matching grant.
Very good.
I second.
Fantastic. All right, motion on the floor to approve the matching grant in the amount of $3,000 to Raziah Roushan for the La Strada de Pastelli in the amount of $3,000. All those in favor, say aye, yay, or otherwise indicate. Motion passes unanimously with our quorum. Fantastic. We look forward to seeing it again this year in person.
I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so very much. It
That
really
should be a fun weekend.
Yay. Yes, yes. So the event is 4 to 10 p.m. But if you're downtown, the chalk artists will be starting around 10:30 in the morning. So you can come and sneak peek.
And just how you're not doing it in the middle of the night market is not going on like around you. You're like off on the periphery, correct?
So what we're doing is the night market is occupying, like they're actually closing the streets and vendors will be in the streets themselves where
Right.
cars drive. And then our chalk art will be on the private property residences. But the way the night market is laid out, the booths are separated from where our chalk artists are.
Okay.
So you'll actually get to like walk into these little chalk art alcoves and we'll have cafe lights over the artists because, you know, it's the afternoon. And yeah, it's going to be very, it's really fascinating because it's almost very European, the way that they're creating these meandering ways of traffic, walking traffic.
Neat. I mean, Kevin, if you've got the map handy, because I haven't. I've been looking for more night market information and had not seen. I knew the old at the round layout, but not what they're going to be doing for this year. Cool.
So you'll see food vendors here, here, non-food vendors over here for the night market, and then the La Strada chalk art, at least on this section of the street, is here. This Covenant clocks, like Raziah was saying, and then Jan's books.
Right.
We food places to eat. Some there's a stage somewhere. Oh, here's a stage. Here's a stage. So there are a few stages and stuff too.
Cool. Very cool.
It'll be fun.
And the other thing I want to share too is in a part of the reason why we chose to work with all these private properties was that one, we didn't have to close down the street, but the other thing is that we're asking all the property owners to leave the chalk art for a week. So the artist will finish it by Saturday evening, and we'll have final photographs on Sunday morning. But then the artwork will stay out all the way through the following Monday. I think it's Monday, August 25th or 23rd. So that the community can come and enjoy the art if they don't make it to the event itself. And you'll notice like the chalk will start to fade over the course of the week, but you can still get some all right photographs. And it was something that we learned when we were at Cedar Hills Crossing, is that they were supposed to wash the parking lot like within 2 days, and they didn't, and people were still driving over to see the chalk art because they kept talking about it. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Raziah. We'll see you next month. But yes, this should definitely get off to BCCI for this month's meeting, I think. Franziska is nodding her head then.
So BCCI is not actually meeting in July. They will resume meeting in August.
Okay. Well, how many meetings are they? Once a month or?
Once a month. Yeah.
Month. Okay.
Yeah, but Miles will definitely work with you to make sure that this all gets through. The vote tonight was the most important part.
So. Okay. Yeah, I know that I don't think that I've ever seen anything stopped at BCCI if it is past the neighborhood. So.
Right. Yeah. And
actually,
and there's a historical precedent for this event. And
so I think you're good. Cool. All right. Well, that then brings us to any subcommittee reports. So, Arts?
Nothing to report this month.
That's fair. I will speak on behalf of events, seeing as my other two members just finished putting on a giant event. We have not either, but I know that I've been trying to reach out to both the farmers market and now the night market as well, to see about possibly doing outreach at some point, specifically for the farmers market for like tree planting. And I'm still waiting to hear back about when they are going to have their general kind of their community service tent space available there. So I've been in communication with them, and it looks like if they do have that available this year, then there is plenty of opportunity to do that in the later fall, where there's not too much of a demand. People are, which is kind of what I figured, that we would be trying to do it closer to the actual tree planting event, rather than, hey, 6 months from now we're going to do something neat. Let me tell you about the neighborhood association, Vinny. So with that in mind, and in terms of actual like nuts and bolts information, what I did find out is they do not have, we would need to provide things like tents and tables. And I know as a NAC, we do not have that currently. So we can discuss that more at events, because I know there's, for the actual tree planting event that had been talked about, using Highlands supplies was a possibility, but if it makes sense for us to go ahead and make the investment in our own infrastructure, then we can maybe start to do that sooner. But that'll give us something to talk about in events for next month. So I'm not looking necessarily, but if anybody has any input one way or the other, I'm happy to hear it, because I just don't want to take too much time. But that's kind of it from the events side. Rachel, is there anything from sustainability recently?
We haven't met, but I have two items. The first kind of ties into what you're talking about, Thom. So I had the opportunity to rescue some baby trees from a coworker of mine. He has a neighbor who works for the Forestry Service, and they had 700 like baby tree starts that were going to get incinerated because they couldn't use them for a specific project. So I took 15 of them, and so I think 2 of them died during the heat wave. But I have 13 baby Douglas firs and like a couple hemlocks that we can give away and do a tree giveaway. So Thom, maybe one of those farmers market events might make sense, or we can do something like I can talk to John and Reggie from Highland about how they've run their NAC tree giveaways. So yeah, there's that. And then there's also the matching grant that we would like to push through for the tree planting in Evelyn Schiffler Park. The estimated cost of that is $1,530. And we have like the estimated like in-kind donations is like 4,000. So if we can vote on that today, that would be wonderful. But
do you have an actual like? Are you ready to take an the application to BCCI? We
are, yeah.
Okay.
And I can mail that or email that to you if that is. I wasn't sure what the process was, but we do have that, and I can screen share it if that.
I don't have any problem. I mean, you guys have a better handle on what's going on that side and are way more organized than any of the other subcommittees, so not terribly worried about it. And I've also seen the rundown for like the MOU and the other stuff. So would you be able to either read out for Amanda's or put in the chat the exact amount?
Yes,
that you're
I can
looking
do
for?
that. So the exact amount of reimbursable expenses is we've calculated to be $1,528.84. I should put total expenses. And then the total in kind between volunteer hours as well as materials is 4,346, and I will put that in the chat also.
Does that also include volunteer hours?
It does.
Okay.
That's the bulk of it.
Okay.
Yeah, the estimated volunteer hours will come out to be 143 hours when it between planning as well as just the actual tree planting itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not worried about having the things covered. I just trying to remember. Were you going to go to any businesses or anything to look for either, like business?
I don't.
If anybody wanted to be like associated with it or not, or if was there any discussion about? So I guess does this include this is just the cost of does this include the actual event, or is this just the materials for the trees? And
so this includes trees, some raffle prizes from local businesses, hand sanitizer, water, wooden stakes, some thank you card materials.
Okay.
So yeah. And then this is you're correct that we are planning on getting a canopy from Highland NAC to support the actual event.
And then had there been any, so in events we had been trying to talk or had been talking about trying to use events as like a community multiplier, like to use you're already doing outreach for one thing, and maybe this is perhaps a good way to get feedback from the rest of the the community and the board. But since we're already trying to get engagement with them for one thing, to use that as a when you're coming to plant a tree, could you bring a canned good or some sort of food bank donation for a local food bank. Would you be able to, can we partner with HomePlate Youth Services and use it as partly a fundraiser to say, we're gonna specifically focus them and try and take a donation, and then whatever gets donated, donate to them. And I didn't know if anything was included for that when you were talking about the event or not. I just know that there's a lot of overlap between.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and that's a great idea. We haven't talked about anything. We haven't thought about partnering with any other organizations or pulling in, like, if you're coming anyways, like, here's how you can also donate.
And that's more the specifics of the event. And I don't anticipate that it would actually add to costs unless it was something like, let's do a raffle for them or something kind of in tandem. And so when that's all.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea though. And yeah, it's not something that we've discussed, but I think that would be great to do.
Totally. Does anyone, other board members or attendees have input on this grant application to continue the discussion? Anyone?
I just wanted to make sure for the purposes of the minutes that I was understanding that the matching grant that's being requested is going to help support purchasing the trees, raffle prizes, and other materials for the event.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Would it be helpful to send the application to you, Amanda, or do you not need that level of detail?
No, just general detail is
good. Cool.
Very good. Anything? Kevin, did you have anything?
Nope, I feel good.
All right.
I like it.
Kinsey?
All good.
All right. Well, for those of we're, let's see, how many attendees do? Oh, okay, so we'll just everybody should be talking permitted for our attendees as well as panelists. At any point in this NAC business discussion, please feel free to chime in. For those of you who are not familiar, we have 3 functioning subcommittees to actually go and do try and do work outside of the formal NAC meeting time here, so that we can try and get some more things done. Those focus primarily on the arts. We have an events subcommittee as well, and then this tree planting event, which is kind of a a combination of 2, but it has was put forth by our sustainability subcommittee. Those subcommittees are available to. I would appreciate the help of any interested community members. You don't have to be serving on the board. If you want to know more about how or if you're really interested in about being a board member, I'd be happy to talk more about that later. But these are community events, and so of course anybody who's got input from the community would still love to hear it. But that being said, we do have a piece of business that is on the floor. So do we have any motions we can bring a vote on? Anyone want to?
I will make a motion that we approve the grant request of $1,528.84.
Can I get a second?
Are we able? I don't think I can second because I'm on the sustainability subcommittee.
There's no conflict of interest when we are voting on NAC business. There is zero conflict of interest here.
Got it. Then I second.
This is procedural to make sure that that there is consensus.
Gotcha.
So there is consensus from the subcommittee, and now we need to formally approve it because that's kind of what the bylaws say that we need to do in terms of any business. This also is an opportunity for the community to hear about what we're doing and to make sure that it's important that there is a vote. It's important that it's done in public. There's no conflict of interest between. No. If you were selling us the tree, then there would be probably conflict of interest, but you're not. So
Okay.
I got a second. I got a second from Kinsey. Great. There's a motion on the floor that we, the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee, put forth a matching grant request in the amount of $1,528.84 for materials and costs associated with the tree planting event to be hosted at Evelyn Schiffler Park. All those in favor indicate aye or nay, verbally or visually. I'm seeing a unanimous from our quorum. So that passes. We can get that over to, that can probably wait for BCCI meeting. I don't think that there's any, unless there's something that needs to be purchased like 6 months in advance.
We just wanted to make sure we got it through the process. So once we're ready to make purchases,
you've got purchase power. You've got a budget. Very good. Was there anything else from sustainability? No?
I have something I'd like to add for sustainability. Somebody shared an article with me a couple days ago of a program that another city is doing where, like our tree planting program here, the city is giving out like little tiny baby saplings of trees to residents, and they cost the city like $1 a piece, and they help increase the tree canopy after years of investment. And it's just something like super small and easy. So Rachel, when you were saying that there was a company that had 700 little saplings that they're gonna just burn, it's like, man, that would be really cool if we could get all of those and like get all of the NACs or the neighborhood office or somebody helping coordinate it. Just because it would be great to get those back out into the wild.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I saved, so I took 15 because that's what fits in my yard, and I gave 40 to Reggie from Highland. But yeah,
Cool.
like if there is a program like that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, just bring it up.
Yeah, just for the future, for other things like that, I have a bunch of space, like a really lot of space in my yard for storing things like lots of trees, things like that. Oh, one other thing about the tree planting event. I know that watering is a problem that will be tackled in the future. I did approach one of the neighbors that is across the street from, or just slightly down from Schiffler Park on Erickson, about whether we would be able to use her water as a source, and I got a let me think about it. So, of course, now that we have budgeted the realizing this, one of her concerns was she has already a large water bill and was looking for more information about how much people would be using. And I don't know if maybe that is something that we can get, an approximate amount that we could get from Reggie.
Yeah, I can follow up with him.
If that is, because yeah, we can also, do outreach to other people that are close over there, approximate to Schiffler, to see if there's a water source. And the main part of this is THPRD is not allowing us to apparently use their any whatever water irrigation. They can put in new turf grass and take out other native plants that don't apparently require water in a drought situation, but they can't let us water some trees from it. But I was a little disappointed to not see THPRD here, because I had questions for them about water and why they're watering the side lawn of the swim center in the middle of a sunny Saturday afternoon during a drought. It just doesn't seem. It seems kind of silly. Anyway, so water. But if there's if it comes to it, in order to get things done, I don't know if we would be able to budget a reimbursement for a community member for water, but we can always approach that later. I mean, I'm guessing that the amount is not going to be such that we will need 4 figures of matching grant, and we could probably just pay for it out of the budget if it comes to that. People are free to use my water, but I'm like a ways up Erickson. but we can make it happen. It's, if people can bring their own vessels to haul it down there. I mean, I know I will be one of the people doing some watering, so whatever.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think Reggie has a system that he has used previously.
I don't have a hose long enough to get like halfway between here and you know, Fifth and Hall, or a Fifth and Allen. So very good. Well, that's coming along nicely, it looks like. Fantastic. With that, I think we are moving then on to visitor comments, announcements, concerns, and wrap up. This is now an open period to bring anything of concern or of interest or anything that you would like to discuss or announce or anything. Does anybody have anything? Raziah, always.
I just want to make sure that you guys have on your calendar this coming Saturday, chalk artist and book signing at Jan.
Jan's books.
She's bringing in 4 authors. They're all like children's books, kind of preteen books, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay. Noted.
That was from 11 a.m. to
2 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Dick Nichols, you had your hand
I'd just like to mention to Raziah that I dropped off rack cards and invitation to Beaverton Lodge and Creekside Village for their residents to visit La Strada.
Excellent, thank you. And Dick, to help answer your question, having senior communities, like whatever shuttling that they can coordinate to bring their residents to La Strada and the night market, I'll email you, but otherwise let's have their shuttles travel on 2nd, drop off at the corner of 2nd and Tucker, and then the shuttles can go on to a parking lot. But that'll be the easiest for getting any senior citizens into the event very efficiently.
Terrific. We'll communicate that with them. I plan to approach several other residences, so we'll see who we can get there.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, Kevin.
Franziska, this might be a comment more for you, but I mean, it's a comment for all of us, but you might be the only one who can do something about it. I was disappointed in the police presentation tonight. I felt like they didn't come prepared, and I often don't know what questions to ask without information first provided. Officer Sutton did an amazing job every time he came with tons of great information, so maybe they just need a little bit more guidance. And then I don't know what our procedure is if somebody asks a question and it's anonymous. I know that a lot of people these days are uncomfortable like raising their voice or asking a question, or don't know how to phrase a question in a way that's like polite and respectful, especially if they're angry or scared. And I felt like the response to the person's question could have been better, like just saying, oh, like, I don't know the officer that you're speaking of, but like if you see it, call it in and report it, and we'll make sure our officers know. Just like something like that would have been great. So I was just a little, shocked when all that happened. So I just wanted to bring it up.
So going forward, Officer Bowen is going to be our liaison. Officer Picard was asked to fill in like she had done in previous months. So I think that establishing a rapport, like it took us a little bit to, you know, Officer Sutton was you know, gangbusters from the get-go, but even he's, you know, he's been with us, I think, for a couple of years as liaison. So he, you know, he had the time to anticipate what people's questions were going to be and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think we should give Officer Bowen the opportunity to do that. I'm interested to see what I think he's going to add a lot of interesting perspectives as a bike officer in the area, personally.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Thom, I think you're right, and I do remember when Officer Sutton was new, and how he was very energetic, but there were a lot of times where he's like, I don't know, but I'll get back to you, and like that was fine.
Really.
I think you raised some good points too.
And yeah, I appreciate your concern about the anonymous question. I mean, the way that I would think about it is, what if we were what if we were not doing this over Zoom, where everybody's got their name on them, and we were just doing this in this, you know, the swim center meeting room again, and somebody asked that question. I think the individual representative, you know, in some way they're representing BPD, but also they're not. I mean, they're not the public liaison. They're not the public information officer. So I don't know that you're going to get much more of a response from something like that.
Sure.
But I you know, I appreciate, you know, the asking to have them at least acknowledge that.
Well, I also don't think that we would get comments like that at the swim center, because that would require somebody to come in and show their face.
Right.
And so I think Zoom affords people an opportunity to give feedback when they wouldn't normally, which is both great, but also these times like this, we're like, what do we do? Yeah,
I mean, we need to make sure that we're an open venue for all of the members of the community. You know, we have BPD as a guest here for us. We're asking them to do a service. I don't think that there's nothing in our bylaws or anything like that that's a requirement that we have representatives of pretty much anything here. We can just go about our business. And so as a result, we can, going forward, we can ask the representatives to, you know, we can formulate what we would like to see from any, you know, any person we have speaking here. And if we're not getting that, then, you know, we may lose, unfortunately, a valuable source of information going forward. I don't think we want to, you know, alienate the BPD, but it's a tough line to work, especially if they're not already in the, you know, public facing, or the, I mean, every officer is public facing, of course, but more of the, they can't speak on behalf of, you know, they're not usually ready to speak on behalf of the police department, the same way that one of the captains, or the captain would be, or one of the chief.
I think it brings up an interesting point based on Kevin's feedback, that maybe there's some sort of like template or something that could help these officers come to our meetings and feel more prepared about what the community members are expecting to hear from them and how they can help support their questions and concerns.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if something like that exists already, but perhaps it does.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and that's you know, if we have, I'd say maybe we'll keep that in mind. We'll see how at least the next month or two go, and if we're not getting the information or feedback that we want, we can always, you know, make that known.
Yeah, we can help them learn the ropes.
Right, exactly, because I think that, yeah, they're in talking with Officer Sutton. I mean, I did, like I said, I ran into him at Pride, like I said he was going to be, and we had a really great conversation. And he is going to miss us for what it's worth, as well as we miss the contributions that he makes here. But yeah, I think you know, we can help them to do better public outreach. You know, even hopefully an officer of however long we get to come in here and represent.
And I can also bring it up in our neighborhood staff meeting tomorrow. I'm not sure what the process is for how officers get selected to be BPD liaisons to the NACs. I just got an email from Miles that said, here's the new BPD liaisons for the NACs. So I can find out from him what the process is for onboarding BPD liaisons. And, you know, I imagine there's got to be some sort of, even if it's just like a skeleton kind of, you know, template for, you know, crime statistics and, you know, whatever notable, you know, so I'll find out what that process is. But yeah, I mean, to everyone's points, my I would say, maybe, yeah, if you're not getting, what you're hoping to get out of that, then yeah, either myself or Thom, whichever feels more appropriate, can certainly reach out to Officer Bowen and say, hey, thank you so much for the contributions, and here's, what we'd like to hear more of. So, I mean, Officer Bowen is a great guy and is definitely eager to make a meaningful contribution here. So I think, just making sure that, that it's communicated, because I'm sure there's lots of stuff they could potentially talk about, but, the stuff that's specific to the audience, right? So different NACs have different levels of interest and different topics that they want to hear about with respect to the BPD officers. So some of it is generic kind of template, and then another part of it is really, kind of context specific to the NAC. But they're great points that you're making, Kevin, certainly. And I do think that tonight, the coordination of, Officer Bakar was here, but then, but Officer Bowen was here, and who was really doing the report. I think it was just kind of one of those situations. So, but Officer Bowen has been, I believe he's been a NAC rep for, he's been a BPD rep for other NACs. So I do believe that he has some experience with that.
Okay, cool. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Are there any? Yes, Kinsey. Your hand was up.
So I was on a conversation at work where we're doing these like learning sessions around race in the US. And one of the topics brought up was around just how does racism come alive today and blah, blah, blah. And one of the topics was CC&Rs for homeowners. And someone I know just mentioned that they just bought a house in central Beaverton, and in the CC&R, there was still racist language. And I think the explanation that they used was, or not the explanation they used, but they talked about how uncomfortable they were signing it, but that every homeowner association is kind of like, oh, we ignore it. And I'm kind of like, well, if you ignore it, then why do you have it in there in the first place? So I don't know, because I don't know a lot about owning a house, because I live in an apartment and I never looked at buying a house. And I think that it's another organization. It's not even, I don't really know how that works, but I was just wondering if there's anything we could do to try and take action in there, or I don't know, I'm babbling, but I just think it's an important thing for people to feel welcome in our community if the language of buying a house is racist towards them. So I just wanted to bring it up and see if anybody had ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if those are those must be public record somehow, because they're maybe Kevin, you can talk to something. We don't really have anything to do with.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I didn't know if anybody had any ideas.
I think more than anything, if there's discriminatory language in them, and they are a legally binding contract, then that could potentially be violating some other state or federal law.
Okay.
And that's way out of our purview. Kevin, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, Kinsey, these are great points, and I'm still learning about a lot of this too. It has come up in conversations that the city's been having about the Housing Options Project and the new opportunities and options that it'll bring up for denser housing and duplexes and triplexes and things like that. Because, I mean, a lot of our housing code is very racist when it was made in the 60s and 70s. So it's seeking to address some of it there, but then within the individual policies themselves, it sounds like actually getting their hands on those policies has been really hard for city staff. It sounds like they're not always readily available. I'm not sure what the actual processes are there. Maybe there's something we can do here around education of these CC&Rs so that people know, like, hey, you can change these.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe people just don't know.
Yeah, that's helpful. Okay.
It's a big topic.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Rachel, did you have something?
I did. So after last month's meeting, I emailed. So I was last month's meeting. I brought up that crossing 10th to Erickson often feels unsafe, and it's really hard to see traffic coming when you're making that crossing towards Schiffler Park. So I emailed the mayor as well as city council, and they put me in touch with Jabra, which is what you all suggested. And my question was basically like, I know that there's a process to like try to fix things, and I know that it's really hard to make any change. So like, I just wanted to let our elected officials know like there is an appetite to change things, and also like here's my specific issue. And the response I got actually was promising that at least action might be taken on that intersection soon. So Jabra emailed me back, and what I had suggested was like, because sightlines are so hard, like it feels like having the parking like right next to that intersection makes it hard to see, and those parking spaces up to 50 feet between like 50 feet of the intersection can be restricted without going through the traffic commission. So there's actually currently a review happening at that intersection, and I should hear in the next week, or he estimated that review will be done in the next week. So hopefully I will have more information next time.
Very good. Yeah, I know that BCCI was going to the traffic commission last week. July 1st was the date. But that's kind of what I was hoping to. That was what I was hoping to hear from the results of that from BCCI. But if they didn't even meet this month, then that may not be disseminated. But I don't know, Franziska, if you heard anything about how that meeting went with Colette and them.
Yeah, Miles, both Lanny was off for all of last week, and then Miles was off for the last couple of days. So we'll reunite tomorrow. So I'll find out how that all went.
So I expect that we'll hear more from next month from Jonathan about traffic commission stuff, because there's currently the back and forth about the traffic calming procedure that has been a problem for other members of this NAC. I know. Yeah, so something's being done to hopefully make it less onerous and actually get some things done. Cool. Is there anything else that anyone would like to bring up? Well, thank you for joining us all tonight. You're all wonderful people, and we will be back in just a few weeks at our regularly scheduled time before we have another delayed meeting in September, as always. So next month, Mayor's going to be here, and expect Dan Turk updating about the Loop project as well. Those are the two things that I know of so far.
Is the mayor speaking about a specific issue or just general?
All I was informed was Mayor Beatty would like some time at the beginning of our meeting. So, yes, Kinsey.
I don't know if this was addressed before I was on here, but have we started having conversations around when we'll start being back in person, or have those conversations not begun?
That did happen before you jumped on.
I'm sorry.
TBD. So
Okay.
I don't actually even know yet when the city is slated to even formally reopen. So certainly nothing's going to happen before then.
Gotcha.
But it is within the neighborhood program. We're already making preparations and having discussions for how do we start having hybrid meetings that requires technology, laptops and potentially projector screens and the whole bit. Like how do you have a credible like in-person and virtual environment so that the people who are participating virtually don't feel simply like spectators and they actually feel like active participants. So still working on that. We might have the trainer who did the effective meetings training. There might be a kind of follow-up training for how do you create welcoming hybrid spaces, right? So that there isn't kind of this dual participation, but it's a little bit more integrated. So discussions are definitely in process, and as soon as we have some updates, but we're looking probably like September, so in the fall.
Got it.
I think Miles also mentioned something about there are some neat opportunities for using this hybrid thing, like real-time translation services. Do you remember him? That's what he brought up at the leadership meeting.
Then that is
okay. So it sounded like,
awesome, and I don't know.
It sounded again like if we can pull off these hybrid type meetings, then we can hopefully get some of the best of both worlds, where we get the in-person engagement. We also get the ability for people who are for whom it's less convenient to come directly, and then we may also be able to more effectively communicate with some of the community that we don't regularly hear from by being able to get translation services. So fingers crossed, of course, everything that is possible and is good becomes actual.
For sure. I think the only thing that I can say with certainty is that virtual meetings in some capacity are here to stay. We definitely have seen an uptick in folks participating that wouldn't normally come to a NAC meeting, either because, you know, they don't like driving at night, or they have kids, or it's dinner time, or any number of things. So yeah, we've been wanting to do virtual meetings for a super long time, and then COVID forced the issue, and now they're here to stay. So yeah, definitely we'll be sending out more information on that as it's available.
Actually, I haven't been keeping track of how, so have you heard from the state legislature if they are going to be keeping the current rule set for public meetings? I know that it seemed like they got some good traction from that for like testimony at the state legislature, and we're interested in keeping some of that at the state level, but I didn't know how that, if there was, basically if we needed to start pressuring our state representatives to support that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work in terms of like at a city council level for testimony. The only kind of involvement that I have in terms of like public meetings laws insofar as virtual meetings are concerned is how long we have to keep recording the meetings, because the recordings of the virtual meetings is specific to the emergency declaration and the specific laws that were passed regarding that. So long as the emergency declaration is in effect, we will continue recording the meetings. But I imagine that once we go back to having the hybrid and having an in-person component, I mean, it's all about accessibility, right? So if we have an in-person component, that becomes accessible for folks that might not have technology access. So that's probably the only thing that I can really speak on intelligently in any sort of way with regard to that. But definitely, that's also been a big boon too, is having people have the opportunity to testify. We've always had the phone option, right, for city council. So I'm not sure if that has really changed dramatically during COVID, or if people have just still been calling in. I think that's been how it's been going. But yeah, so as we emerge out of full pandemic mode, we have to now embrace this new kind of landscape of how do we integrate kind of what we've done and what we want to do. So but yeah, I think it'll be really, once we can like get the formula down, it'll be really good.
Cool. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll see you all next month. Bye for now.